Chapter 2 More in HTML5. Chapter Outline. In this chapter, you will learn form, method attribute of form tag, input tag, list box in HTML, HTML frames, attributes of frame set, attributes of frame tag. KB. MB, you know I have designed my website. MB. Great work, KB. KB. But I am not much happy with it. MB. Why so? KB. You see, it has text and text. When the sentences are short, there is empty space on the right side of the web page. Also, there is some information I want to give on side of the main text, but it is at the end. Some of the users might never even read it. MB. There is a simple solution to that. Why do not you arrange your text in form of lists and frames? It will fill up the web page. KB. Can we do that? Will you please tell me about that? MB. It would be my pleasure, KB. Let's start. Form. An HTML form is a section of a web page which contains various controls like text fields, text area, password fields, check boxes, radio buttons, lists, submit button, menus, etc. HTML forms are required if you want to collect some data from the user who is visiting site. HTML form facilitates the user to enter data that is to be sent to the server for processing, such as name, email address, password, phone number, etc. Method attribute of form tag. The method attribute of form tag is used to specify the HTTP method used to send data while submitting the form. There are two kinds of HTTP methods, which are GET and POST. GET. GET method is used for non-secure data. In this, when user clicks on Submit button for submission of the form values will be visible in the address bar of the new browser tab. It has a limited size of about 3000 characters. POST. In the POST method, after the submission of the form values will not be visible in the address bar of the new browser tab as it was visible in the GET method. It appends form data inside the body of the HTTP request. It has no size limitation. You can use form or form tag to design your form. There are various elements that can be used with form. These are input. This element is the fundamental form element. It is used to create form fields to take input from user. You can use different input fields inside a form to collect different information from user. Type attribute to input element is used to specify the format in which you can accept data from the user. There are various values that can be assigned to type attribute. These are text. The type text attribute of input tag creates text field control to accept data from the user. It is also known as single line text field control. The name attribute is optional. Code. Output. Password. Password is used to accept data from the user in encrypted form. Text entered is not visible to the user. It is displayed in the forms of dots. Code. Output. You can check data which is displayed in password field is in the form of dots. Radio. The radio button is used to select one option from multiple options. It is represented as an open circle and selection is displayed by dot inside circle. By default, you can select all radio buttons. To restrict single selection, use same name for all the radio buttons. This can be used for selection of gender, quiz questions, etc. Code. Output. Checkbox. The checkbox allows to select more than one choice from the given choices. It is represented by square shape and selection is represented by tick inside square. Code. Output. Text area. The text area in HTML is used to insert multiple line text in a form. The size of text area can be specified using rows or calls attributed to text area tag. Code. Output. List box in HTML. The list box is a graphical control element in the HTML page that allows a user to select one or more options from the list of options. To create a list box, you can use select, which contains two attributes, name and size. The name attribute is used to define the name for the list box, and size attribute is used to specify the numerical value that shows how many options will be visible directly. Rest of the options can be displayed using scroll bar. Code. Output. By default, you can select only one option from the list of options, but you can use multiple attribute to allow users to select multiple options. Button. The button tag is used to create a clickable button within HTML form on your web page. You can put content like text or image within the button tag. The type attribute of button tag is used to specify the type of button. Submit. You can use submit button that can be used to send the information entered through various controls like text field, radio buttons, etc. on the form to your web server. Code. Output. Here user entered Rajat in name text field, S name, and 35 in age text field, S age, and clicked on submit button. Reset. It creates a reset button. Clicking a reset button will clear all input elements in the form to their original values. The button can contain text, images, icons, and other elements. Code. Output. Here when user click on reset button, all information entered in various controls will be cleared off. HTML frames. HTML frames are used to divide the web browser window into multiple sections where each section can be loaded separately. It allows the user to view multiple documents within a single web page. A frame set tag is the collection of frames in the browser window. Attributes of frame set. Calls. This attribute is used to create vertical frames in web browser. This attribute is basically used to define the number of columns and its size inside the frame set tag. Valid values can be in the form of absolute, pixel, or wildcard values. Here, asterisk will take the remaining percentage for vertical frame. Rows. This attribute works just like the calls attribute and takes the same values, but it is used to specify the rows in the frame set. For example, to create 3 horizontal frames, use rows 40%, 20%, 40%. Values can be specified in same format as specified for calls. Border. This attribute specifies the width of the border of each frame in pixels. For example, border 3. A value of 0 means no border. Frame border. This attribute specifies whether a 3-dimensional border should be displayed between frames or not. This attribute takes value either 1, yes, or 0, no. For example, frame border 0 specifies no border. Frame spacing. This attribute specifies the amount of space between frames in a frame set. This can take any integer value. For example, frame spacing 20 means there should be 20 pixel spacing between each frames. Frame. HTML frame tag defines the particular area within an HTML file where another HTML web page can be displayed. Attributes of frame tag. SRC. This attribute is used to give the file name that should be loaded in the frame. Its value can be any URL. For example, src leftside.html will load a page which is save with name as leftside.html. Name. This attribute allows you to give a name to a frame. It is used to indicate which frame a document should be loaded into. Frame border. This attribute specifies whether or not the borders of that frame are shown. It overrides the value given in the frame border attribute on the frame set tag. This can take values either 1, yes, or 0, no. Margin width. This attribute allows you to specify the width of the space between the left and right of the frame's borders and the frame's content. The value is given in pixels. For example, margin width 20. Margin height. This attribute allows you to specify the height of the space between the top and bottom of the frame's borders and its contents. The value is given in pixels. For example, margin height 20. No resize. By default, you can resize any frame by clicking and dragging on the borders of a frame. The no resize attribute prevents a user from being able to resize the frame. For example, no resize. Scrolling. This attribute controls the appearance of the scroll bars that appear on the frame. This takes values either yes, no, or auto. For example, scrolling no means it should not have scroll bars. Code. Output. In the above pic, you can see that web page is divided into 3 sections vertically and text is displayed based on different margin settings specified with frame tag. Code. Output. The above page is divided into 3 sections horizontally.